Anyway, that is one thing I'm super excited for in Bad Batch is the animation, because I know Clone Wars Season 7 was like the best animation they've done so far. So this is, I'm hoping, going to be. I mean, the Ahsoka and Darth Maul lightsaber motion capture fight is like
beautiful.
It's never looked better than that. I don't think we're going to necessarily get anything that crazy, but maybe. Actually, that's a good question. Are we going to have any lightsaber battles in the Bad Batch? Maybe we'll talk about that.
Could do a whole live stream.
Because, you know, we're going to, I don't know, like now I'm kind of wanting to stop the music and talk about this right now, because now I'm getting kind of curious. I'm like, I didn't think about this. Are we going to get a lightsaber battle?
I don't want to do it without John. Yeah.
Lightsaber on lightsaber.
John, no, don't talk about it without me.
Yeah.
I'm about to come back, he says. Yeah, whatever commitment you had couldn't have been that important. Yeah, because I feel like one of the things that one of the subject matters is definitely going to be like hunting down Jedi, right? Or like,
I think that's Kenobi. I think we get that more in Kenobi.
Because if this is like immediately post Order 66, there has to be some degree of like, you know, hunting down existing Jedi. Or no, you don't think that is?
I mean, we could see like the Inquisitorium. I don't know when that exactly becomes.
Because
I could go on a whole.
What about a Kanan Jarrus appearance? Like young Kanan Jarrus? Do we get that? I know people would freak out.
Do we want to keep the show going? Because I can talk.
I honestly don't have to go right now. So I know.
I'm sorry, Chad. I know some of you may have left already, but I don't know. I don't know if you can see my background, but I can talk about Star Wars.
Yeah, your nerd cred is there. We see it.
Yeah, I can talk about Star Wars. And part of my apprehension about Vader being in the Bad Batch is that he is busy during this time. Like he has a pretty clearly laid out path of what he's doing right after Order 66.
It's true.
Like he is getting his red lightsaber. He is establishing the Inquisitorium with Palpatine, evil Sith stuff. The Bad Batch, it's called the Bad Batch. I think the show is going to focus on, you know, our clone characters, what happens to the clones, that struggle, and through also Crosshair. You know,
that Omega storyline is probably going to be pretty important.
Like the people going, is Steve Rogers going to show up in Falcon? You're like, no, guys, that's not the story. Like, we know you love that character, but like, that's not the point. That's not the story that's being told. You know.
I think Ahsoka and Rex cameos. I mean, obviously we know Rex. I think like
those make sense.
I think we see characters that are exclusively from Clone Wars, like Saw Gerrera. Like, you know.
Well, I feel like there are certain like interactions that I'm like would love. Like, let me think of an example. How about Rex and Cody? I would love to see that interaction, and it's something that people are like, that would mean so much. But like, it's like, oh, but this is about the Bad Batch, so we can't talk about that or do that.
I think that's way more in line with something that could happen.
Okay, so I feel like those are
all clone characters, and Rex now is like trying to get Wolf and Gregor. We want to see how he gets to his place in Rebels. Like that all flows way better to me than like Vader.
So yeah, I'm cool with that.
Makes sense. Like Barasafi and Ahsoka. Do you think that's a thing that could? I mean, Ahsoka's got her own book around this timeline, doesn't she?
You mean in order to
With that though, there's wiggle room. There's more wiggle room with Ahsoka.
100%. But like, I don't know. I would love to see like Barasafi return. I feel like her story kind of.
Dave Filoni has said that Barris has a plan. Like there was a plan for her.
Right.
So I think that's still in place. I mean, it makes the most sense that she becomes like Inquisitor.
Jenny Jenny doesn't know who Barasafi is. See, this is why you need to.
I do. I read it. I told you. I read like episode by episode.
You hear that, chat? She read. She read
the Clone Wars.
Right? And like, it basically got her kicked out of the Jedi Order, right?
Yeah. She's
like the other Padawan who ended up being the Dark One and framed Ahsoka, right?
Classic Jenny she hasn't even watched the Clone Wars, and she knows more about the Clone Wars than people who have watched it.
It becomes relevant in like the Mandalorian. There are all these characters that, you know, really originated in Clone Wars, so it was like to my benefit as
how about Cad Bane, Levi Dillon, Cad Bane?
Isn't he technically dead then too?
I hope they do that. See something.
Well, if Ventress is dead, isn't he dead too?
No.
That animatic showed Boba killing him.
Well, we don't definitively know, but also that's like fishy. Like that was an animatic of something released. Whereas Dark Disciple is episodes that were scripts that got published into a book. And I think that not only was that scene ambiguous, but because the Bad Batch explicitly in its description, it's like talking about the underworld. We're seeing Fennec Shan. I think having Boba be in it and like dealing with Cad Bane and like that is an arc that could be adapted into the Bad Batch. Like that makes way more sense to me. Like, that is a story that already laid out.
Because I know Cad Bane is like high on the list for a lot of people in terms of their favorite Clone Wars character.
I mean, I'm just playing devil's advocate when I'm saying.
Jenny, do you know who Cad Bane is?
Do you really want to see Cad Bane?
Yeah, so I've read all about these characters.
I've read all about
I know who they are.
I've seen people say they should scrap that entirely and make him a Book of Boba character, which I
could.
Oh, so he's not dead? You mean he'd have to be really old though?
I don't think he's dead.
Because Cad Bane's already supposed to be. I know, like his species might live long. Do you know how? Is it a Duro? Is that what he is? Duros. Yeah. Do we know how long they live? Dylan,
I think
I'm on it.
It's more than
because Cad Bane's already supposed to be kind of like an old dude in the Clone Wars, right? Like he's still a badass, but he's like he's been around a while.
He was a well-respected bounty hunter even when like Darth Maul was an apprentice.
Yeah, they have like humanoid lifespans. It seems like.
I think it's. There's
lived
probably
around
not
like.
definitive.
No, there's not. But from what I saw, it said their middle age was around 50 to 60. So.
Anyway, I just feel like if Cad Bane does show up in the Book of Boba Fett, he'd have to be like old Cad Bane. Yeah,
it's true.
I think seeing a
because Jenny and I were talking the other day about how we could make the Bo-Katan timeline work, and I'm like, well, they never specify her age in Clone Wars, but Bo-Katan could easily be like 17, 18
for the age that she 20 in Clone Wars for it to make sense that it's still Katie Sackhoff.
Yeah, if she's 18 in the Clone Wars, she'd be like approaching 50 in Mando, and that would still be.
She doesn't seem 18. She seems
she does.
Like mid. Really?
Yeah.
Does
Molly,
she?
Yeah.
Molly from Star Wars Explained had a really good point where the Mandalorians wear helmets all the time, so there's
she'd have great skin. Yeah,
that's good. Because you look at her in Obi-Wan. I mean, there's clearly an age difference there.
Yeah.
In Clone Wars,
there was like a really funny meme going around of like Joel Edgerton versus Owen Lars from New Hope, and someone was like, only 19 years have passed, and there's that whole retcon of like they have two sons. That's why.
Yeah, Tatooine. Yeah,
that's why Obi-Wan's such looks so much older. Yeah, and that's fair.
I think getting a resolution for any of these arcs is for Clone Wars specific characters, like something like Cad Bane, or having, like you said, a Cody and Rex interaction. Like that makes more sense to me. I just don't think.
Think about like I'm thinking about that right now. I'm thinking about like Cody and Rex and how like that has to, because we don't specifically see Cody die at any point, right? We don't obviously we know he dies eventually, but like it would be great to have like, what if Rex has to kill Cody, bro?
There are
like,
plans for him.
I think that Cody. Yes, there were. I think Cody in Kenobi makes.
Oh, okay, because Jenny and I were talking about this the other day too, about how Tamura Morrison's perfect age for Mandalorian because Boba Fett doesn't age fast, but he would also be perfect age for Kenobi to play a clone.
Right.
Yeah.